check, Mike. All right. We're patched in, Pika. We're ready to cruise. Or I'm climbing the walls, rather. It's cold out there. I don't want to go hang out. Hello. Yeah, presented in Cecil Vision. No, I'm not really trying to look like Cecil, but I do have this hat because of him. I am trying to evoke a Spider-Man kind of feeling. It's I want to talk about Spider-Man. I'm interested in this part of the conversation of Spider-Man. I'm a lifelong Spider-Man reader, and I've read a lot of Spider-Man growing up. And I was a small child in the 1970s. I am, as I've said countless times before on this very Comics Talk with Reverend Sully over the years, I am a Bronze Age baby. I am. And a big part of that experience was Spider-Man. There was a PBS TV show. PBS was the public broadcasting system. It was it was government funded and also viewer and listener supported stations and programming, and it was always like intellectual stuff and foreign stuff. So they had a show called The Electric Company, which was about it was about teaching kids how to read better. And it and pretty much defines like everything that today that we strive for in diversity, inclusion, and representation. And and this was 50 years ago. All right, almost 50 years ago, and this show was, so it's been around for a while. Just to let you know, they had a Spider-Man segment. Now, Spider-Man premiered in 1963, was it? Oh my goodness, Pika, you're supposed to have notes up. My goodness. Amazing Fantasy 15, was it? Oh my goodness, Pikachu. You are the executive producer. You're supposed to have all these show notes ready and available at the moment's notice. And, in case we spring a show. This is about Spider-Man, if you haven't figured it out yet. But what we're really doing, Amazing Spider-Man number 15, August of 1962. Peter Parker's 42 years old, or going to be 42 years old this year. Peter Benjamin Parker of Earth 616, as we know it now. So when I was a kid, there was The Electric Company, a PBS television show meant to help kids learn to read better. So there was a small segment, the Spider-Man segment, where it was a live-action Spider-Man playing the hero against bad people and other people. Those actors had speaking lines. Spider-Man's lines appeared in word balloons, the classic comic book dialogue bubble, the word balloon. You had to know how to read in order to know what Spider-Man was saying in the show. I learned to read at a very early age, and partly because of that show. And also, there was Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, which I found an even more interesting title than The Amazing Spider-Man for some reason, because it was different. Maybe because it had a smaller issue number. There was also Marvel Team Up, which was Spider-Man and any other hero or villain in the known universe at that time. And then there was also the Electric Company Super Spidey Stories. So up until about in the early 80s, there were 4 Spider-Man monthly floppies. Yeah. Isn't that cool? Wow, this one character could support this entire line. Amazing Spider-Man to this day is Marvel Comics' flagship title. It's for a quintessentially 28-page comic that has, including the cover art, 22 pages of story and art. So you're only getting about 20 to 21 pages. Maybe it's basically 20 pages is the standard. You're getting 20 pages of art and story, the funny pages, of sequential panels. That's pretty much it. And so you're now paying $4.99 an issue for that. That's just the way it's going. What does this have to do about Spider-Man? I'm thinking out loud, to be honest with you. A lot of hubbub, a lot of fans are heartbroken and want their family back. And we're talking about Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson, MJ. And a friend of this channel and someone I've live streamed with a bunch. It's huge, to me, represents the verve, the passion, and the investiture, the invested aspect of this in Spider-Man and the character, more so than me. And they're younger than me, but they have much more Spider-Man, collector. I mean, just like, he's a big Spider-Man fan, and I wouldn't. But he kind of inspired me for this because he's very pro MJ and Peter. And but by being about a decade older than him, I know something he doesn't. That Peter had a life before MJ, and that I knew Peter Parker before Mary Jane Parker became his romantic partner. She was always part of it. She was always in the, she's been part of the, the comic book for when did Mary Jane premiere? Mary Jane Parker. Mary Jane Watson. What was her first appearance? We go to the wiki. Because we like to read wikis. In Amazing Spider-Man number 25, June of 1965. And her first full appearance, that was just a cameo appearance. Her first full appearance was The Amazing Spider-Man number 42, November of 1966. But they only got into their relationship in the 80s. So, like, growing up as a kid, I mean, they didn't have that. So I didn't have that baked into the character. So so for me, I can see Peter without MJ naturally, because that's how I grew up. And so I'm going to frame this like growing up. I hope you can follow me on this one. Let's use some avuncular and familial metaphors. Or allegory, but let's consider, like my uncle Peter Benjamin O'Sullivan. I don't have an uncle Peter Benjamin O'Sullivan. I don't. Because Peter Benjamin Parker, hello? Spiderman does whatever a spitter can. Did I just say that? I said that. Pika wrote that down in the show notes. I swear. See? The show notes. Spiderman. Flip. And I also grew up on that 1960s cartoon. That was always like always in reruns. Jazzy music, that great color palette, and I got to get that on Blu-ray or DVD. I got right. Put that on the list. To the lists, Pika. Mm-hmm. But let's see. When did 1987 they got married in Amazing Spider-Man's annual number 21, and they've been then they got broken up. And things haven't been the same for fans or Peter Parker ever since. these broken futures, these things that we imagined would happen. Mayday, Parker, this one, that one, the other one. People break up. People get divorced. It happens. It's not, and it's. I just read some. I've been reading New Spider-Man. I'm reading Amazing Spider-Man. I'm reading all the Gang War. This is being currently filmed in January of 2024. So what's going on in Amazing Spider-Man? It's volume 5 or volume 6. Zeb Wells is writing it. It has been writing it. It's in the middle. I'm in the middle of the Gang War Spider-Man mini event. And issue 43 just came out. John Romita Jr. is doing a great job drawing this comic book. I love it. Let's see. After learning this, she breaks down and admits her knowledge of Peter's secret identity in The Amazing Spider-Man, number 257. Oh, which one is this? 257. When did this come out? This came out, release date of July 3rd, 1984. Cover date, October 84. I would have been 11 years old. Wow, I didn't have this one. But he's in his black costume, so it's like, so black costume Spider-Man is when Spider-Man and MJ started, getting together. And, yeah. So somewhere between Amazing Spider-Man Annual 2021, that was 1987. So and I would have been 14 going on 15. So I remember this happening more also. Like Peter and MJ were also part of the Amazing Spider-Man daily newspaper strip. And for a while it was credited to Stan Lee and Larry Lieber, who's actually Stan Lee's brother. Stan Lee's actual last name is Lieber. Lee, he just got the burr off of Lee, and Lieber and Stan Lee. Stan Lee, guy, clever comic book folk. The guy who invented Marvel alliteration. I'm okay, but let's get to it. I mean, like, we've had enough setup about this. They're not Romeo and Juliet, meant to be together even in the next life, or maybe that's a bad one. Is Tristan and Isolde? No, that's a tragedy too. Is it Figaro? I've always seen Spider-Man Peter Parker, because not just Peter Parker is Spider-Man anymore, Eric. You have to share the power, or else you're punching down. Okay, if you say so. No, I'm not going to agree to that. Figaro, the opera, The Marriage of Figaro, and this dates back to the 1400s. Oh, it's premiered in 1786. Okay, so it's only 300, 250 years old. Okay. But yeah, Figaro got married, but Figaro didn't have this ongoing thing. Figaro is like the guy of Verona that everyone went to for help. Figaro, 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 Figaro. People are just like calling up for Spider-Man. Like, I need your help. Can you help me? He was a man about town. He was dashing, and he was nice and likable, and he helped people solve their soap opera lives. And that's Figaro of the opera. And so Peter Parker is like a modern day Figaro. And that's my interpretation. No, I've never read that anywhere. But MJ, okay, I mean, let's think of my uncle. My imaginary uncle, Peter Benjamin O'Sullivan. Sully. He's a Sully, too. And he met Jelly. Let's call her name. That's her nickname, Jelly. PB and Jelly. Get it? Peanut butter and jelly. PB. You don't. They went together like PB and Jelly. This isn't actually not about me either. This is just like I'm just going with an imaginary thing. But like, we've all had relatives that got married, and sometimes they get divorced, and sometimes they have kids, and they're still your cousins. That's still your uncle, and guess what? She's still your auntie too. And that's, so we go forward. And we're not even talking about anyone actually uncle to me. Yeah, I've got 6 uncles. I'm pretty sure. Maybe at least minimum 5. I'm just going with making this up. But let's say that Peter Benjamin and Jelly got divorced, and Jelly met someone else, and Jelly has a life with this guy. Let's call him Paul Rabin. But still, I mean, life goes on. And I think that's important here. I think if we're going to have this like big thing about you need to see yourself in fiction, maybe giving because Peter Parker's always been a tragic hero too. I just we were talking about Ultimate Spider-Man. We were doing this on Wes's Thinking Critical as well, on one of his Saturday Comics Aficionados shows recently. He had me on as a guest, and I was really happy to be able to lay down my thoughts. This new universe opens with a 35-year-old Peter Parker married to MJ with 2 kids. Uncle Ben's still alive. Well, of course, Aunt May had passed away in the cataclysm that set up the story, and like back in Ultimate Universe #1 by Hickman, or was it Ultimate Invasion #4? Let me know in the comments if you can correct me there. But the rug could be pulled from us because Peter is a tragic character. His mission, his superhero, his pluck and his aplomb, the cut of his jib is crafted by tragedy. And it's not in the whole traumatic thing that people push these days. He's always had this as well since the beginning. It's his resilience and his ability to understand loss and to cope and to heal and to get on with life and to keep doing it. He's never, he learned loss at an early age when he lost his parents and went to go live with Ben and May Parker, his aunt and uncle, in Queens, New York. He was an only child. I can identify with that. Unless canonically he's got siblings. No. Peter Parker's an only child, blah, blah, unless you count his clones. Ben Reilly and Kane and whomever else is out there. But then we lose Uncle Ben, and that was a result of his powers, of him not using his powers the way he should have been. And this is the whole with great powers becomes great responsibility mantra that is great. But also he loses people along the way, like Gwen Stacy, Captain Stacy, Jean DeWolf, Ned Leeds for a while. Let's see, Harry Osborn. I mean, these are people that are close to him. So there's a consequence to being Spider-Man sometimes, that people around him die. But what happens is that Peter goes on, and he doesn't quit being Spider-Man, and he doesn't. The story's not about him being wrapped up in his madness about it, or his grief, or his agony, or vengeance either. That's Batman. I mean, I think, look at Peter Parker, look at Bruce Wayne. I think that Peter Parker is a hell of a lot more emotionally intelligent and resilient than Bruce Wayne ever could be. And they got similar stories, but, Peter does not let his trauma and tragedy fuel him the way it fuels Batman. Peter is fueled by his responsibility, because with great power comes the great responsibility. And I think that's part of the reason why we all root for Peter Parker, because he's a wonderful hero. He's a wonderful person. He's likable. And we all want to be like him, too, in a way. And that's nice. But when it comes to MJ, they had it. And they had their moment. And they tried. And they were together. And we'll always remember those barbecues we were at together. And we'll always remember, that time, and remember when Pa was alive? And, and all of us, we were all together. Well, time marches on and people do leave each other for whatever reason. And in their case, it was this grand soap opera. And even now, in the Zeb Wells, I see it as a great opportunity to distance the characters. I'm at the point where it's like, you know what? Let Mary Jane live. Let her have a normal life. Let her and Paul go have a happily ever after and never be bothered by this stuff ever again. Maybe they can have their own child. They had their 2 imaginary children taken away by the Whoozy Watsy there. The one that killed Miss Marvel back in issue 26. She got better. Don't worry. Right away, too. Hey, Krakoan resurrection protocols, dude. Don't look at me. But Mary Jane, as a result of that experience, she was trapped on an alternate Earth. And for every day that went by on our Earth, 616, a year went by or something on her planet. So by the time Spider-Man got to rescue her, literal years had passed. And she was with Paul Rabin, and they were in a committed relationship. And then they were taking care of 2 kind of imaginary children that ended up being some kind of, weird, cast of a magic spell. Yeah, but now you have this mitigation here, especially with MJ, because it doesn't matter what Peter wants, and it doesn't matter what I want, it doesn't matter what you want. She has moved on. And why aren't you respecting that? Come on, this is how chicks think, and that's what they do. Women do that. Guys do that too. But I probably sound more misogynistic than I intend. But what about what Mary Jane wants? Maybe she would like the opportunity to maybe settle down and have kids now and get away from this crazy ass life of crime fighting and supervillains and goblins and clones and almost getting killed and worrying about your partner, and he's lovable and likable, but don't you just want something else? I mean, can't you respect her for wanting that? We have to, we love these characters. These are non-delusional parasocial relationships that we're in with these characters for decades. And of course, we don't want to see them break up. And we don't want to see them apart. We know how happy they would be. We know how happy we would be. But what about character growth? What about seeing ourselves in the characters? If that's the trend, we have to understand that if we want to see ourselves in the characters, then our characters have to be a bit more human, maybe, even in their superhumanness. But I've suffered breakups, haven't you? You look at my Uncle Peter Benjamin, and Jelly. They went together like PB and J. But things happen. Way leads to way. People are people. And I don't know. I think there's something for Peter to learn there and to grow, because that would be tragic. And Peter Parker's life as Spider-Man is framed and fueled by tragedy. And she doesn't have to die. In fact, no. I want MJ to live. And I want her to have a long, happy life. I want her to be happy. I hope you're happy, MJ. I want Peter to, feel that and believe that and live it. And then meet someone else. I want that nice girl like the, Michelle, the lawyer, the Beatles friend there. I think that would be cool. It would be funny. It would be the Parker look if her last name started with a J. If she was an MJ, and kind of like mirroring Michelle Jones of the movies, MJ, played by, Zendaya. She's so cute. I love those movies. Those Spider-Man movies work. I love those movies. They're really good. But yeah, that's my feeling. I mean, on MJ, can we stop spinning our wheels? Can we stop chewing up our hope? Can we stop, rooting for something that may not be feasible anymore? Sure, I wanted my Uncle PB and Jelly to get back together again. Yeah. But it didn't happen. And Jelly met someone else. And so did PB. And life went on. And they had other adventures to, but it wasn't, I want to treat MJ like this and Peter like this. Peter's life is fueled by tragedy, and it is a tragedy that he lost Mary Jane. And isn't it time for her to go just live her life and Peter to just get on with his? Can't we just go forward and get on with it? That's what I'd like to see. And it's nothing against Peter and MJ. There's but it's like, they're not Superman and Lois. It's not, thank you for listening. This is just like a piece of my mind about Spider-Man and about Mary Jane and about getting over. Just like, I'm not saying to like break them up. They are broken up. They've been broken up. I think it's time for us to accept it. As much as Peter Parker apparently has, sure, the Goblin energy, showed a bit of his true inner feelings, but he's a better person than that. And, I want MJ to live. I don't want her to be in danger anymore. How's that? Can we retire Mary Jane? And then just go forward and keep hopefully enjoying our Amazing Spider-Man stories. And hopefully she can drop in once in a while, and we can catch up. And that's all I get to say. What do you think about Peter and MJ? You think that, like, everything revolves around, and Spider-Man revolves around getting those two back together and leading this mythical life that we've projected for them, and that sometimes have been in alternate futures is already written? Or can we just, maybe just go forward and use it as an example? Hey, even Spider-Man had a divorce. He got over it, and guess what? He lived too. Let's live. And flip. That's right. Let's swing from our webs and from your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. What a great character. And I love talking about comic books. So if you like talking about comic books too, then now's your chance to subscribe to this channel. Just hit the subscribe button, turn on those notifications, ring that bell, and be part of this. We talk comic books, pop culture. We talk a lot about spirituality. And hopefully there's a spiritual aspect to this. I advise tactical and practical spirituality, the kind that's going to really enhance your life, the kind that's going to help you get some traction out of getting yourself out of that pit that you feel like you dug yourself into. So I do, and part of that is letting go of attachments. So maybe we should let go of our attachment to Peter and MJ getting back together again, because it's causing us misery. Our suffering is equal to the amount of attachment we have, and that we can hope, we can worry. It's the same energy. Let go and see what comes, and be surprised with it, and welcome it too. I mean, that's what I would like to do. I want to let go of MJ. That's what I wish for Peter. That's what I wish for all of us. We should just let go of Mary Jane Watson and see what she wants to do. And hopefully maybe being with Paul, if that's what she wants to do, let her do it. I don't know. She's also just an imaginary character. Just like my uncle, Peter Benjamin O'Sullivan. And Auntie Jelly. No, that's all made up shit. I was just going with, let the dog out. Just like, she goes right through the field, man. She's like, yeah, I don't need to call him. He knows how to get home. He'll be back when he's tired. Thank you so very much for tuning in. God bless. Namaste. Good luck. And we will see you again in those funny pages. Ciao. Bye-bye.